Hey guys, CJ here and welcome back to another brand new episode of Hybrid News Now. Big video for you today as the Russo Bros are talking about the MCU, and that means that we are talking about the Russo Bros. Let's kick things off with some big news out of Avengers Infinity War, and while part 1 is still 2 years away, that hasn't stopped us from getting news about it. First it was that the Russo brothers would officially direct the picture, and then it was that the film would feature 67 independent characters, and now they're telling us that there will be some new, never-before-seen in the MCU characters included in the film. That, of course, does not mean that they'll be inventing folks on the spot. Well, maybe extras 1 through 3005. But what it really does mean is that we'll get some Marvel Comics characters that have not shown up in the MCU yet showing up for the first time in Infinity War. And let's peep the quote. There are new characters that are going to appear in Avengers Infinity War. It's a big, sprawling, ambitious movie. It's about as ambitious as movies get, and it should be, and the title alone indicates that there will be an incredible scape and scope to it. As they'll be facing a cosmic-level threat, my best bet, or at least my biggest hope, is Adam Warlock if he doesn't show up in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but a close second is Richard Rider Nova. Let me know in the comments section below what all-new character you'd like to see, but in our next story of the day, sticking in the MCU vein, the Russo brothers, of course, are masters of teasing all kinds of things, but this time they're talking about Civil War's end-credit sequences. Specifically, the brothers teased that there might be as many as 3 post-credit scenes at the end of Civil War. While that might sound crazy, and it's entirely possible that Joe Russo is just messing around, in my opinion, it might even be necessary because of the MCU altering events that could potentially happen during the course of Civil War. The most likely candidate, as comicbook.com notes, is Doctor Strange, as that's another Marvel picture coming up later this year, but how they'll bridge the gap between that or the other likely culprit, Guardians 2, completely remains to be seen. And of course, let me know in the comment section below what you'd like to see happen at the end of Captain America Civil War, but what I personally want is something Captain Marvel related. Reportedly, she was almost in Age of Ultron before being cut out for story's sake. So just something to let me know that Carol Danvers is alive. She exists within the MCU. But let's quickly pivot to the DCEU to talk a little bit about a great interview The Hollywood Reporter released this afternoon with Zack and Deborah Snyder. Honestly, in my opinion, it's a great read. I kind of look into the partnership between this married couple that are really now the gatekeepers of the DC universe. And while it's a great read, there is one thing that jumps out, one major thing that I want to talk about from this interview, and that is Batman v Superman's R-rated edition Ultimate Cut. Now, we here at the Hybrid Network, and many of you folks out there on the web, had speculated that the reason for the ratings push from PG-13 to R was some rather violent sequences. And it looks like the many of us thinking that way out there on the web were correct, as Zack Snyder confirmed that it wasn't a hard R with some nudity scenes that got cut out for the theatrical release. It was just a couple of fight scenes, so let's take a look at his quote. The why of that is the DVD version is a half-hour longer, and some of that additional material was some of the stuff we took out for the rating. I was like, cool, I can put back in for the director's cut. There's a little bit of violence, it just tips the scale. So, some fight scenes. And we had speculated for a long time it was going to be some pretty brutal Batman fight scenes, and I'm not sure if it's worth anything, but what I'm hearing is that Wonder Woman's fight with Doomsday is actually maybe the culprit. It's apparently pretty vicious. So, that wraps it up for another Hybrid News Now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you liked what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you tomorrow.